You know that I love boxing and have always talked about boxing here, even while nobody else wants to talk about boxing. And I've lamented over the last few years, but yet I can't deny it, that Jake Paul has taken over the pay-per-view game and made celebrity boxing a thing, a ridiculous thing, where most people listening to this, I'm assuming, don't care that Francis Ngannou has to go from being legitimate heavyweight champion of UFC, what should be a distinguished title, to following the Jake Paul plan of circus freak fights in order to make real money in boxing, because Jake Paul has somehow come over to boxing and jerry-rigged the game so that he gets the eyeballs, he gets the audience, and he was going to fight Tank Johnson, and I thought he was going to lose that fight. I thought it was going...
Tank Davis.
Tank Davis, excuse me. That is a fine. And I can't... Yeah, okay.
Just tell me later.
Yeah, I'm going to owe so much money at the end of today's show.
We listen back. You owe $20 to Roy, $14 to me.
Okay, stay confident. You got your Boris Quinton.
Tony's going to own Meadowlark by the end of this.
I thought he was going to lose a fight. Tank wasn't going to fight at 132 pounds, right? He was going to gain weight for that fight.
As much as he could.
I was going to say, how much can you gain on that frame?
I thought he was going to lose that fight because that's the most legitimate boxer he's faced, even though he has him by 100 pounds, and there are reasons for weight divisions in fighting. But Jake Paul can't fight Anthony Joshua. Like, he should not fight Anthony Joshua. That is going in there to get knocked out. That's a legitimate heavyweight fighter and somebody worthy of the heavyweight crown. And if Jake Paul fights him, he's going to get harmed. He's going in to get knocked out. Is that a real thing? Is he going to go from fighting Tank to fighting Anthony Joshua? He's going to go up 100 pounds I'm going to actually fight a real fighter?
Yeah, and obviously there's been a lot of people that have had their name thrown in, whether they've liked it or not, between the Tank Davis fight falling off. Then there was Nate Diaz. Yeah. It was like, oh, is he going to fight? And then it was Francis Ngannou, and then Francis Ngannou was like, I'm not going to fight him. And then all of a sudden they've settled at Anthony Joshua. But if you look back, Anthony Joshua starched Francis Ngannou. And if you look at Francis Ngannou versus Jake Paul, and you're like, that fight wouldn't have been fair either. So now look at the discrepancy between Tank Davis, who's 5'6", 140 pounds, to Anthony Joshua, who's 6'4", 260 pounds.
I transitive property. You know about that?
I know about transitive property. I like it. I use it as a tool sometimes.
Guys, just I know that Tony does the MMA and the combat sports for us around here, but fighting Nate Diaz would be one kind of fight and would be in keeping with some of the silliness that he's done with Anderson Silva and other people.
He'd probably beat Nate Diaz.
Yeah, but he's fighting someone who is a striker, and is good at boxing in MMA. But Anthony Joshua is a whole nother level of expertise and
hate to do this, pal.
Size.
They fought. Unanimous decision for Jake Paul over Nate Diaz.
Anthony Joshua is a heavyweight fighter worthy of the heavyweight crown. Jake Paul should not be stepping into a ring with that person. How real is that, Tony? Because the first time I heard that, before it is that they moved to Tank, who was 100 pounds lighter, the first I heard of that, I said Jake Paul can't and shouldn't do that. That is dangerous in a way that is not responsible.
It was kind of the same situation with like Mike Tyson and Jake Paul, where I was like, all right, is Mike going to get hurt here? Because Jake is a legitimate, strong boxer and has like a really good right hook. And it's like, Mike is 60 years old. Now we move that to the upper echelon of Anthony Joshua is a world-class, world champion boxer who has massive cinder blocks for hands. And Jake Paul's never fought somebody with that kind of power. So when you talk about transitive property, yeah, you could take a shot from Tank Davis, but when you're taking a shot from Anthony Joshua, completely.
But I am in on this fight, by the way.
Anthony Joshua, by the way.
But I want to see this.
But is it real, though? Because he was supposed to fight Tank this week, was he not? Last week is when that fight was supposed to be
here, right?
It was supposed to be across the street, yes. And that fight also had circus properties to it, because you're still talking about a 100-pound weight difference.
Yeah, there's always a circus property when you have Jake Paul involved, because you never know who he's going to fight, because he's not going to fight a guy who's in his division who's a legitimate boxer. But everything seems to point out, from Uncrowned to Yahoo Sports, Ariel's product, the Netflix boxing match is in the works for December. So it's like a legitimate thing where the wheels are greased and moving towards a big payday for Anthony Joshua.
You have my interest. Like, I'm going to watch to see Jake Paul get knocked out, because I don't – look, I don't know what to do. You guys tell me what I should do with this, as gambling is something that is in baseball, in basketball.
And awesome.
You're getting into corrupt thinking that things aren't real types of games. You can influence in UFC a real fight. And I saw Conor McGregor be carried around by Floyd Mayweather, a defensive fighter, for 8 fights. Anybody who has watched boxing knows that that's Floyd just carrying someone around in order to keep a payday going. If Anthony Joshua does not extinguish Jake Paul in a round, I'm going to immediately assume that's fixed. Jake Paul cannot stay in a ring with Anthony Joshua, who's actually hunting him, unless Anthony Joshua's in on carrying him around.
Anthony. Mention the kill shot Tyson had.
Yeah, obviously Tyson, who also has cinder blocks for hand, albeit a little bit older hands, but he had the kill shot on Jake Paul and it didn't happen, right?
And don't we also assume that Tyron Woodley took a dive?
Maybe.
I believe, Dan, weren't you here, though, before the Jake Paul-Tyson fight saying Tyson was going to
Yes.
destroy him?
And yes.
I know that Joshua's not 60.
Okay, but listen to what
No,
it is.
he's not 60.
Listen to what it is, though, that what Tony is saying, because you are correct on Dan is loud wrong day. I did say that Mike Tyson was going to kill Jake Paul. And if Mike Tyson had thrown the punch that he would have at any point in his previous 60 years, he would have killed Jake Paul and chose not to kill Jake Paul, because I have to wonder, when you get into the circus elements of this, honest to God, what requirement, you talk about professional trolls in Gilbert Arenas, what requirement does Jake Paul have to adhere to any of boxing's integrities and have a fight with a Mike Tyson who's 60 years old, and they both have the understanding, and Mike, if there's any spot where you can kill me, don't. Like, what responsibility does Jake Paul have to put on a fair fight when his chief governance is entertainment?
So then, are we just saying it's wrestling at this point?
I mean, it's a crime if it's not. Like if he's
That's
making
correct.
side
It's illegal.
arrangements,
That's correct.
It's a crime.
It's
100%.
illegal. But what responsibility does he have to be responsible about legality? We were just talking about Gilbert Arenas. If you're running boxing, you're Jake Paul, and you're an internet sensation, what real responsibility do you have to fight for by the rules when you can just throw up your hands and say, isn't it all entertainment? It's just all meant to be fun, right? You're just paying me for the view. You're not paying me for the integrity of the view.
So a couple of questions. Number one, his fights are sanctioned? Are they sanctioned by any boxing commission?
Yes, they're not. Yeah. He's ranked, but boxing is the dirtiest, okay? Where there is a dollar, there's a license.
Sure. Okay, so then my next question is wrestling ever on the Vegas books? Can you bet on who's going to win WrestleMania?
Yes, but it's one of those like prop bets where there's a limit, usually like $500, the max you could bet on a match.
And a ton of books refuse to take it.
Yeah.
But you also don't know what the script is, right? So you unless you're
Well,
inside.
but some people do, and there's no way to prove, hey, do you know
Can we
what it
examine,
is?
though, what Jake Paul's responsibilities are here in the dirtiest game that you're arriving at, and you're now changing it? You're the money. Boxing has always been corrupt. Boxing is one of the few sports that has judges. You can contaminate judges. Boxing is one of the few sports where you can have a fixed fight because you just get in bed with one fighter. What responsibility does influencer Jake Paul have to play by the rules?
I think he has a massive one, right? Because it's not about just his fight that's on the card. He's putting up, and he's done a great job of lifting up women's boxing in a way with Amanda Serrano, Katie Taylor, legitimate all-world boxers that are females. And
I think he helped Francis Ngannou get paid too, right?
Also in a weird setup way too. But when you look at what he's doing for the people that are up and coming in boxing ranks, especially women, if you're looking at top down saying the fight is fixed at the top, then is the fight fixed for Amanda Serrano? Is the fight fixed for Katie Taylor? Are fights that are legitimate fights fixed?
My question to you guys is, couldn't he rationalize any bad behavior and file it under, hey, I'm an influencer providing opportunities. I'm an entertainer. Like, I shouldn't be doing the illegal thing.
Way to
but
fix the tone.
Am I not a rule breaker?
But it's cool up until the point, like I said, if people are gambling on it, if without limits as it is in wrestling, then it becomes a problem. But whose responsibility is it to report to the gambling houses that, hey, this is theater. This isn't.
I mean,
genuine.
if I were to talk to anybody in boxing who has some real knowledge about what boxing is, they would tell Jake Paul that it's irresponsible to get into the ring with Anthony Joshua. Like, it's not that is not, never mind prudent. That's not something someone of his expertise or his skill level should be doing with his life, whether he's a ranked fighter or not.
Unless it's not real.
Yeah.
Clean it up.
Unless it's not real, but if you look at across the ring and you're looking out and saying, all right, this guy has fought Vladimir Klitschko, Andy Ruiz twice, Usyk twice, Ngannou, Dubois. Those are murderers. Those are legitimate killers in boxing, and Jake Paul has not had that resume. So
Ngannou is not, though. Ngannou is not. And
he's got nuclear power in his hands, Dan, which I don't think anybody that Jake Paul has fought has had that threat.
I believe that if you got on here, they would be dismissed as curmudgeon, but if you got on here, anybody who actually covers boxing, they would tell you that there's not a way for Jake Paul to win that fight that isn't fixed. It's not even he can hit with one lucky punch. Like, that there is no circumstance under which the skill level and the experience level of Jake Paul should be in a ring with Anthony Joshua. That to go from
Anthony.
To go from a Diaz brother or spent MMA fighters, whatever, didn't he fight Uriah Faber? Whatever, whoever the strikers are that he has fought, that he has beaten all of them, this is a whole nother game. I just think, I believe that the crowd is being taken advantage of in making this about the entertainment as opposed to the expertise.
You don't think it's so much more like, I know you're going into it wanting to see Anthony Joshua knock out Jake Paul. Yeah, all right. Knock out Jake Paul. You don't think it's so much more interesting if Jake Paul knocks him out?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, that's what I'm rooting for. I want Jake Paul to win.